This episode brought to you by Cast Iron Pans. Who knew?
This is Hot Drop, where we bring you premier PUBG analysis and, to be honest, just really uncomfortable drops. I'm Cody.
And I'm Dano.
And let's get into it. On today's episode, we're going to talk about Xbox patch number 11, where PC's going, PUBG Mobile, and with our special segment, John makes a great point with Lemon John.
But first, I want to say, all of you guys who are watching on YouTube, thank you. And also, why are you watching on YouTube still? You should totally take this live show right into your pocket, download it from iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn. Get the audio-only version because that's where we're seeing the majority of our viewers, and it's just really easy to have the show on the go. So if you're watching on YouTube, like, thank you a lot. But also, if you want to have us on the go, you can definitely do that with these other download spots.
We're really proud to say that we had our best download week ever this week. In our first day, we had almost 400 download, which is an all-time high for us. And over the course of the week, we have had our best overall week in downloads yet. So thank you to everybody who is listening on any podcast app.
Absolutely. Yep, all those apps. If you are on a podcast app that we do not support, please let us know, and we can probably get that set up. We also have a website. You can go to thisishotdrop.com. You can find our RSS feed there, so you can do whatever you want with that. You can leave comments on YouTube or on our website. Leave us some ratings on iTunes. That would be super helpful. Even if you don't want to write a review, please just go in, give us as many stars as you think we deserve. 5. Yeah, definitely let us know. Give us your feedback, because that's how we interact with you guys, and that's what we love the most about doing this show, is hearing what you guys think.
Perfect. So, Dano, do you want to hop right into that Xbox patch for us?
Let us hop into Xbox. So, this is Xbox patch number 11, and it's mostly optimization, stability, and performance. They say that right up front. They're focusing on performance optimization and stability improvements across the family of Xbox consoles. This might mean that they're trying to get the Xbox One performance up to the level of Xbox One X, which would be cool, because we've heard in the past that there's a little bit of discrepancy in performance between those two consoles. So they're working on that, and they're also working on changes to inventory management in an effort to increase the speed at which players can navigate menus and change their loadout. And I think this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the one thing that we talked about the most on Xbox, is the speed and user interface of the looting menus is just not there yet.
We're going to cover that a little bit in the segment about the PUBG Mobile game, because I have a lot of thoughts about that and how that can be integrated into both PC and the Xbox versions, specifically the looting structure.
Absolutely. And we saw some changes on the PC recently that we think are going to be coming to the Xbox, specifically that wheel UI that you see with the emotes that they just added. I think personally that that's going to be an element that they add to Xbox, because that's a very standard console UI menu, where you just hold down a button on the controller and use your thumbstick to move around the wheel of the UI interface to pick something in that wheel. It's like a pie chart, for example. You're going to select the different wedges of the wheel using your thumbstick. So I think they're going to see more of that stuff. And we haven't played this patch yet, but I ask you guys, if you have any feedback about it, if you have seen this patch yet, please let us know what you think. But I'm going to run through the patch notes really quick. So there's 3 bullets under performance, optimization, and stability, which are implemented texture changes to improve graphical performance, optimize vehicle profiles to improve frame rate, and additional fixes to reduce crashes. Cody, do you want to take UI UX?
Sure. The layout of the inventory has been improved, adding focal points to identify selected areas, a clearer button guide, and tooltips. So that makes perfect sense. They're trying to simplify everything so that you can see and identify things a little bit easier. They improved the selection of the weapon slots and attachments, so players can change the focus and selection by using the D-pad now. quick scrolling has been added by using the left trigger and right trigger buttons as well.
Yeah, and this is what I want to test out as soon as I get a chance, this quick scrolling thing. Because there was another patch note recently, another tweet recently from the PUBG help Twitter account, which is for you guys who don't know, follow PUBG_help on Twitter. They have a lot of really good insider information about the state of the game, and they also just kind of tweet out news about what's happening. So the recent tweet that they just put out was that they're aware of an issue where quick scrolling is only available on controller binding preset type A, and they're correcting this. So it looks like for you guys who are using type B, which is something you had to go into the settings to specifically choose, the quick scrolling is not working with that controller profile. So just a heads up, switch back to type A to see that in action in your game. But yeah, these are the kind of things I want to check out soon. This UI improvements really make me excited about where they're going here. Because we saw what the UI could be in terms of a mobile game, and we're going to get into that later. But I still think it has a little bit ways to go on the Xbox.
Beautiful.
Next, under gameplay, we have a counter has been added to show the number of players remaining in the airplane. I didn't realize I didn't have this already, so that's interesting.
On PC, we don't have a number. We just have the yellow dots within the airplane.
Yeah.
So, the mobile game does have a counter.
Okay, cool.
As you're jumping out, it says who's left in the airplane.
Nice. I like that. It'd be cool to see the games sort of all come together as far as features. And again, I keep hinting at it. We're going to talk about mobile later, but mobile actually has some features that the PC and Xbox version don't have. So on the PC, like you said, the counter is in the form of that little UI at the bottom left, which shows you the little dots within a plane outline. And before that, we didn't have anything. We just had a visual of the plane would open, and you'd actually have to look inside the plane to see how many people were left sitting in it, which I always thought was probably not so accurate, but maybe it was. I don't know. I always never really trusted it. Yeah.
It must have been pretty accurate because I think that whatever code they're using is working that way to count. So
yeah, I guess I just never trusted it because it feels like something that would be wrong for no other reason than that. Also on Xbox, cosmetic items. So if you created a player, I believe if you, I'm not sure, they don't say in this patch note, but I think there was a certain date you had to create your player by. But they say that they announced last week that they are rewarding players after March 22nd with a varsity jacket, also known as the PUBG 5 jacket. It's a green varsity style jacket. It's kind of cool. They're just giving out a free skin. So look at your inventory after March 22nd to see that jacket added to your customization tab of the menu. There's also 2 bug fixes. They fixed an issue that caused players to hear footsteps when no other players were in the vicinity. Excellent fix. And they also fixed an issue that prevented the blue zone from being displayed correctly. And that's all in Xbox patch number 11. Any thoughts, Cody?
It's just, this is the kind of update that we'd like to see for things and that we used to get for PC all the time. We're just little updates. This is what's going on. This is what we're going to add. Here you go. There you go. Oh, cool. They did change a couple of those things here. So more real-time stuff sort of like this would be better in my opinion.
Yeah, this is a good rolling patch. Like, I have no problems with this. I think some people might look at this and say, oh, it's kind of underwhelming. But we are kind of held up by the fact that, or I mean, not held up, but we are encouraged by the fact that we have the spring roadmap now. So we know what's coming and we know when to expect it, which is cool. So just the fact that they're adding things like this, performance enhancements, optimization, these are the stuff we're asking for. Like, so I'm very happy with this patch. I think it's an excellent patch overall.
Speaking of patches, there is one tonight, Wednesday, March 21st. However, we don't know what it is. Do you think this counts as their patch that they said they were going to release toward the end of this month?
It might be. Yeah.
I hope not, because they said they were going to keep rolling out new content and things like that, and I feel like we might have gotten screwed a bit if this is the case and there's not much to it.
Yeah. Didn't they say by the end of Q2 we'll have a new map, which would be in, what is that, 10 days? Yeah, I don't know. But right now we do know that the test servers have been updated and we don't have the patch notes yet. They announced in a tweet that the test server has been updated and you can go in and start playing that build. and they're also going to be adding other things to it soon. We just know that right now, the only thing that we can really tell changed in the test server is a new event game mode. The game mode is not accessible right now, but it's called Event. And if you click this, basically the UI looks like you can select from Event or Classic, which is the current game mode that we've been playing all along. This is exciting. Like, this is a sign of things to come, I think. This is custom game modes, perhaps, or also game modes that are limited time that you have talked about a while ago. You were excited for those kind of things.
Different game modes would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Also, keep in mind, everybody, the 1-year anniversary of this game being available on Steam is this Friday.
Oh.
So I'm hoping that they're being sneaky about this, and we're about to get something really cool.
That might be the release of the new map.
That would be amazing. On 1 year to the day that we get a new map, new weapons, new something, new game modes, an event. I would be extremely excited for that.
I would put money on that, honestly. That seems like a very reasonable time to put out something cool. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. A couple more days and we'll know.
Let's wait and see.
It's so hard to wait. I'm so impatient. It's terrible. The other thing that they added in the test server was a new tab under customization for weapon skins. There's specifically a melee section as well.
This is exciting to me. I like the idea of being able to have weapon skins, whether or not they're useful or anything. It just adds that one other aspect to this game that I feel like we're really missing, is like the ability to really customize your character and distinguish yourself from everybody else. In our intro video, we're all there, but you really don't know that's us because we just change around our stuff so often, because why not? Where I'd really like to be able to create a Lord Beardface identity in this game that I wear the same stuff until I decide to upgrade it.
Or some kind of progression system with clothes would kind of be cool too. I know they're not going to do this because we've already seen the randomness of the crates. That's what they're going to go with. But some kind of thing where it's like, okay, you can see this guy, he's been in the game a while because of what he looks like. You can tell he's a more seasoned player. It's just something to distinguish yourself a little bit from others. This is a crazy idea, but like I just thought of this with your beard. Like, you could have a player have a beard that continuously grows the longer they stay alive in the game or something. That'd be cool.
Yep.
But yeah, no, character customization in this game sucks. Like, I will straight up say that.
You get like 6 options for faces.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like they hit all ethnicities pretty much. And that's it. Like, there's just 5 or 6 different
it's not even
faces.
ethnicities. They just hit 6 different skin tones.
Or skin tones. Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Like, they didn't even do a good job at identifying people based on what they would believe like their ethnic background would be. It's just skin tone.
Yeah. Right. Male or female, you have the option. I think there's like 5 or 6 different hairstyles. But like, everyone really looks the same in this game. Like, there's no really good way to distinguish yourself. And you could go out and buy the crazy expensive skins if you want to, but
That's
I don't know.
worth my time.
Yeah,
I'd
it
rather
doesn't
earn them and keep some cool stuff.
exactly. It doesn't represent like earning something in the game. It's just like if you spent money.
What I'd also like to do is be able to kill somebody and pick up their weapon and go, "Oh, this is cool."
Yeah.
And like have a weapon skin that I go, "Oh, this is neat. How do I get this?" Or "Whose is this?" And kind of roll that way.
Yeah. I think they tried to make that happen with the clothing, but like, I just don't get that same feeling of, oh, this is cool from a piece of clothing. Like Counter-Strike with their weapon skins is super cool because you have certain designs, like the case hardened skin, which is like a pattern of blue and gold over, like, for example, an AK has a skin that's a case hardened skin, and the pattern is different for every single variation of that skin. So like, I have a case hardened AK which looks completely different from your case hardened AK. So like, you can pick it up and it's like a different pattern. It's like, oh, this is cool. This is different. Like, it's something that no one else might have, and it's something that distinguishes yourself a little bit from other people.
And while it has no impact on the way you play the game or how good you are at the game, it keeps people coming back for more things. And just like people in the chat are kind of saying, the same thing with different game modes. It gets you more invested into something. One helps you identify yourself as an individual in the game, but the other one keeps you interested in the way the game is being played. And so those two things combined create some real longevity for players in this game to keep them coming back, just like CSGO. People have come back for years and years and years and years because of the way that they allow you to customize things and the different ways they allow you to play.
Right. Yep. Totally. Yeah, and the key also with Counter-Strike is the custom game modes, and they're not necessarily sponsored by Valve necessarily, but they have community game modes where you can have a server and you can set the rule set to be whatever you want, and like that's what's missing from PUBG right now, is there's no way to customize a custom server unless you get noticed by Bluehole, and unless you have a following to support your request and your what do you call it, your application for a custom game mode. I really wish they would roll that out to everyone. But
I agree, and maybe they are. We don't really know what's coming in this update today.
Yeah, and modding capabilities as well. Being able to,
oh my god, yeah,
user created content, like a workshop. People could create their own weapon skins and they could make it into the game. There's so many different ways to go with that, and they have said that they're going to open up parts of it, but probably not the entire game.
I understand Brendan Green's concern about opening up the core of the game to like people who could hack it, and cheating's been a problem, and it's better now. It's way better than it was before.
Yeah,
but it's still an issue. And if you want to open those gates to invite more people to cheat, you know, I can agree with their decision to maybe not include modding right now.
Yeah, at least until the game is a little bit more solidified, I would say.
Yeah,
a little more stable. Cool. So we also had a bit of feedback in our Discord, and I kind of wanted to touch on it because it was an interesting thought. I don't agree with this person, but I wanted to see what you think. So basically it came up that, is the Car 98 overpowered? And I kind of want to throw this out as like a question of the week kind of thing. Like I want to see what you guys think in chat, and also those listening to this podcast. Is the Car 98 overpowered? Is the one-hit kill to a level 2 helmet too powerful for the fact that this is a relatively common world spawn weapon?
So where my thought goes initially is, it sucks to get knocked out or killed by a Car 98 in one shot. My second thought is, it is not easy to get a headshot on somebody. Like, there are very few players who are so good at this you can get a headshot with a Car 98 right off the top. John's amazing at it.
Mm-hmm.
But even he doesn't get it every time, and he's taking a bunch of shots. So I don't think it's too overpowered. I think it gives you a different perspective on the way that you're trying to do things. He brought up a good point that I think it was his brother said, it makes you change the way that you play.
Mm-hmm.
Having that Car 98 in there changes the way that you approach somebody that you know has a Car 98.
Yep. It changes your tactics, and you have to fight them differently. You have to wait between the shots, take short bursts of fire, like go in and out of cover quickly. Yeah. Yeah.
I actually, like, when I know somebody's a sniper rifle, unless John shouts Car 98 because he knows the sounds of every single gun, yeah. I just hide behind a tree or figure out where it's coming from and go. But like if he says it's a Car 98, I hunker down until we figure out who's got it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a really cool aspect of the game. You know that when somebody has a silenced weapon, you tend to get lower to the ground and find some cover until you figure out where those are coming from, and you follow the sound. Whereas a Car 98, I'm not following the sound. I'm just getting behind cover and figuring out how we're going to approach them eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's too overpowered. I think that's the same thing for grenades. Like, was adding grenades a bad choice because they can just kill you from out of nowhere? No, I think that just makes you adjust to the way that you're playing. Because if every weapon was the same, I wouldn't be afraid of any of the weapons. I wouldn't go for any crate. Because the AWM, I think, is more powerful than Car 98.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder to use, too.
So I'm looking up, as we speak right now, I'm looking up the damage output for the Car 98 versus the M24, which is a fairly popular sniper rifle that you find in crates only. And it's kind of interesting because it sort of makes me wonder, like, what is the purpose of the M24? So right now, a Car 98 does 72 hit damage to an unarmored target. The M24 does 84, and the AWM does 132.
It's a monster.
Yeah. So I think what I have to do is do a little math here to figure out how the hit damage of the M24 compares to the hit damage of the Car 98, depending on the different levels of armor you have. because I don't have this data right now, and maybe we can get back to that. But yeah, like I guess the biggest thing is like we know an AWM, which is the most powerful sniper rifle, crate only, is going to take you out in one, if at the most two shots, I think. Even with a level 3 vest, I would imagine it's 2 hits.
Well, level 3
to the
vest has
chest.
over 200 hit power, so like you would have to hit him twice direct in the chest to take that away.
Yeah, to break the vest. But
'cause
there's
a
also like
level
the
2
damage reduction that it does. I think a level 3 does something like 40% damage reduction. So like there's definitely some math here that we have to figure out. But yeah, I guess
Even so, a level 2 has 200, so even if you had any kind of reduction and it does 132, you're already doing over 300 damage, even 40%, which is not a level 2, you'd be shattered.
it's true. Yeah.
Simple math.
Yeah.
And
But
I'm
also I
terrible
know
at
that like
remedial.
you can die. Well, I guess I don't really know where I'm getting hit, but like you can die and your vest is not broken. But it also could mean you're getting hit in the arms because the arms are not protected by the vest, I don't think. Anyway, we need to look a little bit more into this. We're not experts on the armor calculations, but I guess
failed all math classes in high school, guys.
I actually got a 98 on the Math B exam, which was the best I've ever done, only because I was tutored. I am terrible otherwise. Anyway, but I guess what I'm trying to say is like, what is the point of the M24 when you have the Car 98, which does like it's 12 less damage, and then you have the AWM, which is like a monster doing 40 more damage than the M24 does. So it's almost like what role does the M24 serve? Like that's the bigger question to me, I think.
Yeah.
But getting back on topic of I think that a one shot with a level 2 helmet with the Car 98 is too powerful? I don't think so. I think it's a skill weapon, and I think it's something that like you will get to be a very powerful player if you perfect that Car 98. And if you work on that bullet drop and you get better with that weapon, I think there should be weapons in the game that are not crate only that do give you an advantage. Because like we see right now, the M4 and the Scar are basically the same rifle. You've got the SKS and the Mini 14, which are pretty much the same as well. And those are going to be, like we say, your bread and butter weapons. You're going to use those all the time because they're more often spawning in the world.
That Mini was one of the best additions they had to that game, I think, still.
It's a great weapon.
The rate of fire and its compatibility with the SKS, even though it's just a designated marksman rifle, it's a good substitute if you can't find even a normal AR or anything like that. So
yeah,
I think it was a great balance to the game.
It's a slightly more powerful M16 with us, and to compensate for that, it's a smaller magazine size.
Yep.
So like it serves a purpose for sure, and it's 5.56 versus the 7.62. So that one has a purpose, I think. Also, when they added that to the game, they made it so the rate of fire was just disgustingly fast. Like I think there was no limit to how fast you could click, and how fast you would get off shots. So it was nutty. Like I loved it when it first came out. And it also has a faster bullet speed compared to the other regular assault rifles. But anyway, we have Lemon John in chat, who's at work and will be joining us in a little while, says the AWM does 59 damage to a level 3 vest. So yeah, it's a 2-hit with a level 3. And I think that you should have one very powerful sniper rifle to do that. And I also think it's very reasonable to have a Car 98 in the game, which is a relatively common spawn, to be a weapon that in the hands of the right person is going to be a very effective weapon, but in the hands of someone who doesn't know it so well is not going to be a very effective weapon. Like it's not like it's so overpowered.
Yeah, I didn't start to pick it up for a long time.
Yeah, it's only powerful in the hands of someone who has practice with it, and I think there should be those type of weapons in the game.
I agree with you.
All right, I think enough about that.
Think.
Yeah,
let us know what you think. We'd really like to kind of round this out next week, talk about it a little bit. So please send us emails, tweet at us, hop in the Discord.
Ooh.
We've had a lot of people jump in the Discord lately. It's really cool. We've had some really, really good conversations, and that's where this topic came up in. So if you're interested in just PUBG discussions, hop in there. It's really great.
Yeah, definitely. So the question of the week is: the Car 98 overpowered? Should it one hit a level 2 helmet? Would love to hear your feedback. So Cody, I'm going to step aside and you're going to take the reins on this one. Just like I did with Xbox. You were a pioneer on the Hot Drop podcast of PUBG Mobile. I sent you the link. I was like, "Hey, look at this. PUBG Mobile came out in the United States. Like, download it from the App Store." And like, you sent me back a screenshot of like you already playing it. You were all over that one. So tell me what your thoughts were. I'd love to hear them.
I got a pocket full of PUBG, and it was fantastic. So I will say, initially, I played my first round and I destroyed. Like I wrecked it, got in there, 8 kills. I was like, "This is the coolest. I found my jam. This will get me my fix." And then Dan posted that the first couple of games they start you off playing bots, so you feel good about yourself and get used to the controls. And then you slowly gain more and more and more real people in the game. And I would like to add, I'm still boss. Today I played around and I got 8 kills, made top 10. It was a lot of fun. This game overall is a really good rendition of the PC and Xbox game. I think that it holds its own. I've played it on my iPhone X and I have played it on my iPad Pro. I think it runs incredibly well. And I don't even want to add that piece as a mobile game. It just runs well. It is a fun game. It is, in essence, everything that we play on our PCs. My initial reaction at first, before I even touched the game, was, I don't like touchpad controls. How am I going to do this? And it was actually pretty cool. It's really intuitive. So I expected some bugs and that I wouldn't like the controls, but when you're parachuting in, the buildings don't render all the way around you, but your field of view still works. And so it'll show like a block of something, sort of like the Play-Doh world that we used to see when our computers weren't running well. But you knew that that was the edge of the building. So the depth of field was all there, and you can see where people are landing, and you can already see loot. And so it's not the last thing to load in, it's like the first thing to load in is the other people and the loot. So you can see it on top of a Play-Doh building, and then when you land on the building is there all of a sudden, and the loot was already there to begin with. So you can choose where to land, and you know where to go. The cities are a little bit simplified, and so there are, I would say, like a third less buildings, and the buildings themselves have less things in them. And so everything's recognizable. It only has Erangel, so you'll go into an Erangel building in Pachinki, and there won't be tables, and there won't be things lying on the ground other than your loot. I think clothing items spawn less, so you're not getting caught up in what to loot because they want the game to move faster.
Mm-hmm. And that's the first thing, while you're on that topic, that's the first thing I noticed, because that's where I did drop in my game. I only played one game so far, and I landed in Pachinki, and the buildings were about the same. Like, the layout of the town was about the same, but it felt like the density was a little bit less. Like, there was just fewer buildings.
It's sort of like you're in a dream about a place that you've been before.
Exactly, because you go into the building and the floor plans are just more open. Like, they get rid of the bathrooms, they get rid of like little cubby holes. They don't show tables and chairs in buildings, I don't think, and like dressers and stuff like that. Like, there's no decals on the walls. It's like a bare bones, like there's a dream of Pachinki.
There's no second side out of Big Green. You have to go down and around. And you know when like the rafters go over and you cross over the crosswalks?
Are you talking about in Big Power?
Big Power, yeah. You can't go through to the other side of the building without going in one door.
Oh, okay.
So they don't have multiple doors on multiple ends. It was pretty great. The touch controls turned out to be pretty awesome. They have an auto run feature where you can use the joystick and your left thumbstick to move around, and if you hold it high enough, it selects auto run and you just let go.
Oh, really? I didn't even notice that.
Auto run, yeah. And then in the top right by where your map is, there's a little eye, and that is your free look.
I did see that. That was a great
auto run, you'll let go, and you'll have a free look. But also there are 2 fire buttons. There's one on your left and one on your right. So when you're running and trying to shoot, you can shoot however you want. But if you want to stay stationary and you move your camera and your perspective, you move that with your right hand and you will fire with your left.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of trying to run and adjust like you would with a double joystick, you would just stop and aim the way that you'd want to stop and aim. And I think the biggest piece of this is that it helps when you have hollows and red dots, but it makes it a little bit more difficult to use any kind of sniper rifle because you can't adjust as easily. But the game moves it. it's not slower necessarily. It's just like it's like another dream sequence sort of. You're seeing things differently.
Mhm.
And so you can see those people without anything else being rendered, but you want to move a little bit slower and everybody's waiting to aim up their shot a little bit better instead of just blasting away.
Yeah.
Because you can get a kill by just kind of burst firing a couple of times, which
Yeah, there's
makes
not
it
a lot
a
of
little
flick
more.
shots happening.
Yeah. Yeah, flick shots are just gone.
Yeah, and then it's a little bit less in terms of like pinpoint accuracy that I found. Like I felt like I was
Yep.
just not very accurate, but I didn't know
Yeah,
if that's because I suck at touch controls or maybe I'll get better.
you can
But
fire from the hip too a little bit better in this too, so it is a little
yeah.
less accurate.
So actually, I had a question about that because I was thinking about this on the walk home today. I was thinking about playing a mobile game quick. Is there the hold the right mouse button to aim over the shoulder, or is it sort of like always that way? So you know how on PC, like if you're gonna not aim down sights and you're just gonna aim over your shoulder, you would hold the right mouse button to sort of shoulder your gun.
Yeah.
Is there
It's
that mechanic in the mobile game, or is it just fire
No, you just
and then
you
scope?
sort of always are.
You always are.
Unless
Okay,
if you're not free running, you're over the shoulder.
got it. Okay,
So once you free run, that's when you're running with your arms swinging to the side. But if you're just running, it's always kind of up and over your shoulder a little bit, like you're ready to fire.
okay. So like
And
it's
then,
that one less step you need to do, which is good
yep.
because like that's too many button clicks on mobile, I think.
Speaking of one less step, the godsend that is auto looting is there in this mobile game, and it is really, really helpful. They auto loot anything. So the first time that you run over a gun, it will pick that gun up. It will pick up all of the ammo and load your weapon, and any attachments that automatically will go onto that weapon, it automatically puts them on your weapon.
Oh, it automatically attaches too. I didn't notice
Yes.
that. That is
So
cool.
the only thing is it so if you go down and you are near a 4x scope and a hollow, it will pick up both, but it will only auto load one of them, and you don't know which one it's going to be. So I've picked up like an SKS and an ump lying next to each other, and it put the 4x scope on the ump and the hollow onto the SKS because that was the open slot at the time.
I see. Okay.
But if you go over stuff that you've already filled your slots with, it won't necessarily auto pick it up. You have to hover over it for half a second, and it'll go right in your backpack.
Oh,
And
cool.
then
Okay.
your backpack, you just tap on the bottom left of your whatever device you're using, and it'll open up and it'll tell you what you can't use that's in your inventory.
Wow.
So there's like
that's really intuitive.
If I have an AK and an ump and I have some 12 gauge, it'll have an X through the 12 gauge, and I can just slide it over into the trash.
So that's the one thing that I noticed that was so easy to use was because you have the touchscreen, you can just click and drag so easily.
Yep.
Like I wish that the Xbox could come close to how quickly you can drop and manage your inventory, drop items and manage your inventory on mobile. Like I really
you
like
have the
that
same
interface.
amount on your mouse to just scroll up and down and like click,
Yeah.
click, 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 click. But the server response time is so poor on the PC game, whereas this tells you what your best settings are going to be for your game. So it says low, medium, or high based on the device that you have. And I think that's what helps it run better. Whereas this game is trying to run its best on hundreds of different configurations for a computer, thousands of different configurations for a computer. Moving on, I guess. You can be slightly less accurate when trying to fire. We were talking about that over the shoulder thing. Like you can hear somebody fire at you and turn and really just line up your shot and kind of spray a little bit and know when you hit them and then zoom in and try and hit them. You know you have enough time for that, whereas in the full game you don't have enough time to react that way.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get cover, or you have to fire back and flick kill them. But I've had enough time to stop in the middle of a field, line up my shot, and take shots, both against bots and real people. You can tell when they're bots when they're not moving, but like all the people seem to move when they're trying to shoot, sort of like WASD constantly.
Yep.
Full matches were the same length, about 30 minutes. I've won 2 times. I went first, second, third place in my first 3 matches, and then 4th, 9th, 14th, 7th, whatever. A full match is about 30 minutes. It's about the same as a normal match would be. It moves at about the same pace. I feel like the circles are a little longer, but I feel like that might change. But now let's get into stuff that PUBG doesn't have, I guess.
You're talking about the PC version doesn't have?
Yeah. They have daily rewards in this game. You get both battle points to buy things and XP to level up, so you're only being matched with people within your level. So right now I'm at like, I think I just broke into the silver level after like, I don't know, 10 matches total. And supposedly you're only getting matched with people within that same badge level. And
Okay, so you have a
against,
visible rank.
yes, and every time you earn enough XP, it'll say you've leveled up. And I went from bronze 5 to silver whatever.
That's cool. Like a logical progression, reasons to come back and keep grinding.
Exactly. Yeah. And so when you hit daily challenges, you'll go in and it'll say you logged in, you played 1 match, you killed 3 people, you destroyed a vehicle, you traveled this far in a vehicle, you survived for this many minutes, and you get different BP and XP for every single one of those that you complete. And if you move your scaler all the way up to the top, which is the gold crate, you'll get an actual reward, whether or not it's like cosmetic or more XP or more BP to buy more crates and things like that. So you can't just use your BP to buy stuff as you want it. You have to earn the leveling to buy it.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I like that progression. Like we don't have anything like that, like you're saying. Like there's no reason to come back to PUBG and keep playing for rewards other than battle points and crates. But like, yeah, I think that's what it's missing is like a logical and a visual that says you're doing good. Like you're a good player now.
It was really, really cool.
Especially for a mobile game, that's key.
They give you a poster that you can save every time you do really well in a game. You hit a certain achievement or you do whatever, that you can just save that to your phone. Which it's pretty cool to go like, nah, that one I don't care about so much. But they're like, you got 10 kills, and I hit it, and I go, yeah, I got kills. That's proof.
Yeah.
And they have events too, so like you can hop into these events for different rewards, just saying like you killed more people or you joined a squad with some randos or whatever, which I did, and it was fun. And there is apparently the option for voice chat, but none of them spoke English, so they didn't use their mic. But it was really cool to have that option, just to turn your microphone on and be able to chat through your tablet or your phone or whatever and just play squads with people. And it was just as smooth as playing solo. It tells you what your response time is to the servers next to your battery life as well. Mm-hmm. And I've only had rubber banding issues one time, and it was for about 2 seconds. And I could see that it dropped and it said, it's going to be bad here for a second. And then it went back up. It was pretty awesome. You can see what the world chat is doing, so you can join any squads of people saying like, hey, squads, English only, Dutch, whatever they want to do, mics or no mics, and you can just jump into the world chat and pick somebody you want to go to, or you can turn on auto matchmaking.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. Nobody was going for supply crates. I noticed that. Nobody seemed to be confident enough to run up to them, and so I just ran up to all of them because nobody was going to them, and I never got into a firefight at a crate. Mm-hmm. Nobody chased them. Interesting. Nothing. I just ran up to him and I picked out a bunch of really good stuff.
Yeah, I remember in my game I also got an AUG from a crate drop because no one was around. Yeah, I wonder if that's because people don't know what it is. Because there's a lot of new players. Because it's a free game, so when you have a free game, like you get people from all walks of life, all different demographics, downloading and playing it. Whereas like PUBG on PC, you have to have enough money or a means to get a nice PC to run this game, and then also you have to buy the game for $30. So with a mobile game, you're getting like kids, adults, the gamut of
it was pretty
demographics.
Awesome. Yeah. Clay LaJoy wants to know is there XP rewarded for non-skill actions, as in could a terrible player build their way to a silver tier? Yes, but it will be a little harder if you can't get any kills. So there are ways to just join matches, get in daily, and work your way up those chains. But I think you can't necessarily stagnate yourself just by not getting kills, because eventually you'll get kills. Or they're matching you with people who are of the same skill level, so you can easily grind your way out of it if you want to as you practice and get better.
Mm-hmm. So overall, what would you say if someone said, I want to play PUBG, like, is the mobile version any good? What would you say? And how does it compare to PC?
I would say it's actually really good. If you want to know what the game is about and learn the tactics of the game, it's a great learning tool. you're not going to get good at the PC or Xbox game by playing it, but you're going to have fun. You're going to learn some stuff, and you're not going to come into this game on the PC or Xbox blind.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to know what the weapons do. You're going to understand the bullet drop. You're going to understand a lot about it because the mechanics of most of the things are pretty much the same, which was shocking. You can vault out of windows. I noticed that windows don't have glass for the most part, and you can't vault out of smaller windows that you would be able to in the PC game. But overall, it's a really, really well done game. In brackets, mobile.
Mm-hmm. That was my exact reaction when I was playing it. I was like, I am pretty impressed, mostly for the fact that I am using well, I was on my tablet, but most people would probably be on a cell phone. Using a cell phone that is going to space and allowing me to play a game that has the same features as a PC game. And that was
wonderful.
sort of blowing my mind just a little bit. Because we're old enough now where we have seen what computers used to be. We remember before the internet and how slow and crappy computers were. We were around for those box telephones, those cell phones that you had to carry in a purse.
I mean, playing the old Oregon Trail with the floppy disk and stuff.
Yeah. That was our childhood, and to see now you can have a cell phone that offers me, it's not the same experience, but it's
damn near close to.
Damn near close.
I was shaking I played the first match on PC again.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was well worth the free download. And I'm probably gonna play it a couple of times a day for a while, and if those daily rewards are good enough as they seem to be right now, I'll keep playing a couple times a day.
Yeah, for someone who commutes, for example, I live in a big city and I commute every single day, so I can sit on the train and just play one game of PUBG, and suddenly I'm at my destination, and that's the coolest thing. That's the coolest thing. There's definitely some features that are missing, but it's nothing that's obvious, nothing that's oh wow, it doesn't have this, oh that makes it a bad experience. None of that is what I was thinking as I was playing. I was very, very impressed with all the features. But the one thing is I was telling John this the other day, I would never choose to play this if I had access to a PC or an Xbox. I would always pick PC or Xbox over mobile.
I will never be at home and go, you know what, I could play some PUBG Mobile right now, knowing that I have a computer in the next room.
Mm-hmm.
This is I'm in between classes, or I'm on my lunch break, or I'm at work with nothing to do, or I'm taking a break or doing whatever. Yes.
Yep.
Play the mobile game. It's fun. It's a great time.
Yep.
If you want to hang out with your friends and do an impromptu LAN party via mobile, that'll be fun. But you're never going to want to choose the mobile game over your PC or Xbox version.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm pretty impressed. I think it's something that I want to do soon, is compare this mobile version to Fortnite Mobile. I know that's out. I think it's probably still in beta. I'm not really sure.
It's still an invite only.
Invite only. But yeah, I was listening to the Infection podcast. It's another podcast that I've referenced a few times, and they were talking about PUBG versus Fortnite Mobile, and they were loving Fortnite Mobile. And one of the things that they talked about the most was the interfaces, the Fortnite interface having way less options than PUBG. I disagreed with one of the hosts who kept saying that he thought that PUBG was sort of a cluster. I would disagree. I thought it was very intuitive to pick up right away. It helps that I know PUBG so well, so I know what my options are, and I know sort of what to expect before I looked at my UI. But yeah, no, I don't think it's too much to turn off a new player. I think there is a learning curve, and there's definitely a learning curve to PUBG on PC too. But I definitely do want to compare them to Fortnite, because it sounds like Fortnite has a very fun mobile version out there too, and equally as full featured as the PC version of that game.
Listening to Infection's live podcast last night, Nick was really, really on board. I think Brian was too, but Nick was saying he's really bought into the Fortnite thing. What he really likes about it, the mobile version, is that it is your Epic Games account that you're signing into, where we have no choice but to sign in as a guest or sign in via Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
You get to log in, you see your current friends list, you see who can play with you. It's the same thing. It's cross-play, I believe, too. So you're jumping into a full-fledged Fortnite Battle Royale Whereas this PUBG is not the same, is not, you can't crossplay anything with PUBG, but Fortnite seems to be just trucking along, getting everything together, excuse me. So, and I agree. I think you guys should all check out the Infection podcast, guys, by the way. They do their live podcast every Tuesday. Right here on Twitch. They're really, really smart guys. They cover a multitude of different games. They have giveaways of indie games every week. It's just a really good podcast to listen to. Really great guys. Very helpful as well.
Absolutely. Sort of one of my inspirations for starting this way back almost a year ago now. And they definitely do some really sick giveaways. Like I think it was 2 weeks ago, they gave away a copy of Dark Souls 3, which is a $60 game on Steam. So if you want to go in, support them, check them out. They do, like Cody just said, a really great show. Can't say
I just
enough
subbed
good
to
things.
them last night, actually. So
nice.
It's well worth your time.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think do you have any more thoughts on mobile games, or do we want to roll into our new segment this week?
Let's roll into our new segment for the week.
Sweet.
John makes a great point.
John does make a great point. I think we should probably have him make great points every episode.
I would love for that to happen. So tune in. We're going to welcome in the Lemon John.
The Lemon John for a quick rundown about some beginner tips. Things that beginners might want to think about as they're getting into PUBG for the first time. Or if you've been playing for a while and you seem to be stagnating or want a little more help with your game, have a listen and maybe you'll learn something new. So we're going to roll into that right now. And I will be very transparent, this is a recording. So if you have things you want to mention in chat, we'll address those afterwards. All right, here we go.
And now we move into the segment of our show where we bring in the lemoniest of Jonathans. And John makes a great point with Lemon John. Welcome, John.
Hey. Cool. So today I just wanted to, we've been having some discussion in Discord about, early, like new players getting started, that kind of thing. We have a few new players, we have some veteran players, we have some intermediate players, but I think the ones who need the most help, obviously, are the new players. Shout out to Mongball for kind of getting this rolling in chat. But I just wanted to kind of have a conversation with y'all about getting to know the game and maybe just computer games in general. So I was thinking about what should we say to help somebody who is new and getting frustrated with the game. Mm-hmm. So one of the most basic things that is kind of, I don't want to call it a mistake, but the first thing that was brought up are more powerful weapons, the rarer weapons. It seems like it would make sense to get those to try and get a kill, but I think that's actually a bad instinct,
I would agree with that. I think when I first started, the first match that I played in squad, which was with you and Crander and Dan, I picked up the easiest weapons. I picked up the ump. I picked up the AK only because it had a powerful shot, but it was easier to control in a single shot. And I picked up the Uzi because I knew what they did. I didn't have to worry about anything other than turning on autumn or single shot, and I kind of ran with it. I didn't even touch a sniper rifle until I had played for a while, so I can see why that's a better option than going in and trying to pick up an or a Groza or anything like that before you really know how to play.
Yeah. Dan, do you remember your loadout early on in this game?
I know the ump was part of it for sure. The ump was definitely in the first game I played. I'm trying to remember. I probably would have not picked up a shotgun because knowing what I know from nearly every other game that I've ever played is that shotguns are deadly from about 2 feet away, and then they're like spitballs from anything beyond that.
Right.
So I think it was ump and probably one of the rifles. I want to say probably an M16 just because it was probably the more common find. I don't think I went for any crates because I probably didn't even know they existed my first couple games or what was inside them. Yeah, I think you make a really good point because you would think to
Ah!
see you would think that a better weapon means a better chance at winning, but on the flip side, I think those higher tier weapons, I'm thinking specifically about the AWM,
Hmm.
M24, those two sniper rifles, and the what is it, the MK14.
Hmm.
Those are tough weapons to use. If you don't know the bullet drop, you're almost better off just sticking with an ump or an M16 or something similar for a while and then getting a hang of the bullet drop for those weapons, because those are the ones you're going to be using for a really long time. Those are your bread and butter. And then working your way up to those crate weapons. I think that's a really good point.
So you brought up an interesting point in there. You mentioned bullet drop, which is, I think, one of the big problems with starting to use those weapons is you don't want to use the weight the crate weapon up close. Like when
Right.
you pick that gun up, you're going to be using it at range, and at that point you have to, bullet lead a bit. You have to know that for the gun. You have to know the bullet drop for the range. You have to have a scope for it. So there's more like ramp up for that gun than if you pick up a shotgun and run next to somebody.
Hmm.
So like I I think that was a really great point. Like the bullet drop and like the lead, there's more complexities with the crate weapon. So even though there's like a higher damage output, I think it's way harder to get that damage to actually connect.
So if you take all of those points and kind of roll them into one, from my experience, starting off the game, I never would have wanted to pick up anything. It wasn't until 3 weeks ago that I even started asking you if I could hold on to the Car 98 when I found one instead of just giving it to you
Hmm.
directly. And I'd been at that point playing since August.
Hmm.
So knowing that, it's just a logical sequence of events. You pick up things that are effective at close range, and then you work your way up, add different scopes, you figure out what's going to work best for you, and then you have a comfortable loadout that isn't changing all that much at this point. I think
Hmm.
with the group that we play with, we all have our weapons that we're good at, the ones that we want to keep, and the ones that we'll never pick up.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time that Dan picked up an AK-47.
Yeah, not a huge fan.
Early game.
Yeah, early
Yeah,
game
no,
only when it's my only option.
there's a little bit of evolution within each players. Like I actually didn't used to pick up the AK, and I've been using it more often lately. But yeah, so like when I first started playing, I remember I was down with the over under like so much. Anytime I'd find that shotgun, I was in love with it, because of the fast rate of fire and just the sheer damage output. And shotguns are pretty good at range, like against stands immediate. Um, bases from other games, they actually do a decent amount of damage at range.
Hmm.
So that was kind of like my early game bread and butter, as y'all say.
Yeah.
Was like the over under, and then any 5.56 rifle. So if I was to give like a generic piece of advice to new players, I would say pick up a common gun that spawns a lot, like shotgun, ump, M16. Use that and don't worry about getting super geared up or anything like that. That's not going to help you survive a fight if you don't know how to use the gun you have.
Right.
So
Exactly.
get that, maybe get, a couple of meds, and by that I mean like a first aid kit, like 5 bandages and a boost, maybe. And then just go try and take a fight.
Yep.
Yep. And that's the second biggest thing I would say is take fights. Go after
Take
stuff.
fights
Don't be
often.
scared. Because that was definitely my first game. I was hiding in a bush for the majority of the game. And that didn't help me at all. Yeah, I might have placed in the top 10 my first game. I'm pretty sure I did, but that was just by sheer luck and the fact that I was staying hidden and not engaging. But I wasn't getting better at the game by
Right.
staying in a bush.
Right. It's exposure to the combat and using the guns that actually lets you get better at the game.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even anything that I was comfortable with when I started playing the game. I just took your guys' lead.
Hmm.
You'd say, "Do you want to keep looting or do you want to pick fights?" And I'd go, "I'm down for whatever." When in reality, I went, "Let's hide in a bush. We can see what everybody else does later."
Oh, that's so
But-
accurate.
but-
I remember that so well.
But that helped me. I would just say, "We'll do whatever," and I said, "Hell yeah!" And then I would die, but I
Yeah.
would learn, and eventually I got kills, and then I streak, and then I slump, and I streak, and I slump, and just the other day I was on a real hot streak, and that's boosting your confidence more and more and more, and the more often just pick those fights and not really care if you die because you're not getting embarrassed. Nobody's paying attention. I think that's the toughest thing to maybe even get over is this fake fear of being embarrassed for dying or playing solos and dying.
Yeah, you shouldn't be worried about like jumping into as many things as possible and dying as often as you need to learn the game. But you talked about something interesting just then about confidence, like that getting those streaks boosts your confidence, and I think it's actually the other way around. Well, it's true both ways, but I think when you have that confidence, then you can start streaking. And we saw that the other night when we were playing together. Is like you were down to engage as many people as you needed, and you had the skill set to actually start taking these people down.
Yeah. And I'm starting to notice people before you guys will notice people or spot people and be able to call them out, where before I would just wait for you to call them out and ask where. Which we all still do. We all go, where? The hill's at 185.
Yeah.
But it comes with it just dedication and rolling through and dying and making jokes about it until it sort of becomes a little bit numb, and then you're comfortable enough to just go for it and take shots when you want to take shots and not worry about going into a building.
Yeah.
In our Discord, we have someone by the name of Scale Speeder, and he has a YouTube channel, and one of the things that he posted a while back was keep a battle log. Write down what you did that game, and then what happened, and then what you would do differently the next time, to keep track of the mistakes or your successes. And the one thing that I would like to add to that, which I discussed with him a little bit over YouTube comments, was go into each match with some kind of goal in mind. Whether it's get 1 kill for your first game, that's a great goal. Whether it's engage every single fight you can possibly take, that's another goal. Try to get an airdrop, that's another goal. And all of these things will help you as you progress, and you can see yourself progressing because you're completing these small incremental goals as you play and get to learn the mechanics of the game. I think he made a really good point with that video, and you don't necessarily have to do that to keep a log, but you could go in, I think, with a mindset. And I think once you start achieving those goals, you will get more confidence. And then, like we saw with Cody the other night, with his confidence boost, he has been killing it lately. Like, he had 5 or 6 kills within 10 minutes of playing. 2 different games, I think.
Yep, 2 games, 6 kills.
Yeah. It's
and
nuts.
There were early game kills too, which never happens before. Like, I would get a couple mid-range over the course of these were early game kills in a row, feeling good about myself, seeking out other things. So
and that's the biggest part of it, is just confidence. And I think that's where I excel, because I go into a fight, like a one-on-one with someone, pretty much every time feeling like I can beat them. And that's, I think, what makes me a little bit better than I used to be, where I'm just like, I see a guy, I'm like, oh, I can out-aim that guy easy. And if you go into a fight thinking that, you're probably going to win. But if you go into a fight thinking that, this guy's going to take me out and I'm going to lose all this progress and now I have to restart my game and it's 20 more minutes to get back to where I was, you're probably going to lose. It's a mind game with yourself, I think.
Yeah, you don't want to play scared, especially if you have the skill set that lets you engage properly.
For sure.
Definitely. Cool. This was awesome. Any other thoughts?
I really like that.
Yeah, no, I think those are all really good points. I really like the goal thing, because that was something that I'm sure you remember early on, and I remember I was telling Cody when he first started playing, was like, just try and focus on getting 1 kill, like one solid kill every match. Like,
and I
if
was
that's your goal.
Once I started to focus on that, it made it so much easier to not worry about. I don't know. It sounds sort of like elementary schoolish, but like, I jumped into a squad with a bunch of people who are already playing this game, and I want to look cool.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Like, you can't do it. So the second you're like, just focus on getting a kill, I go, all right, yeah, I can do that. Like, this guy's not gonna just call me a punk ass bitch because I'm not carrying my weight. I can sit there and just play, and I'll figure it out eventually. And when you guys wanted to play with each other and actually do well, you would do that. But like, you were kind enough to me to actually let me play.
Yeah. And maybe that's another thing, because I remember in our chat one day, I don't remember who it was, but someone commented about how the squad that they usually play with doesn't really share loot with each other.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, who
They
was
play
that?
like
Blew
almost
my
against
mind.
each other.
Yeah.
I don't remember who it was, and I probably shouldn't call them out anyway, even if I did. But just the fact that like that's your mindset going into a game that's very much a team game where you absolutely have to work together to succeed. That's just not a really good environment to be in, and it's definitely not a good environment for a new player to walk into and feel like their squad is sort of against them or not helping them out. So maybe that's like another tip is like to find people that you enjoy playing with and stick with them and keep playing with them. And even if you're not great, hopefully they'll have a good mindset enough to teach you the ways of the PUBG and get better at it. I think that's another key. And not play alone, because you will learn so much by playing with other people. Playing alone is fun to get the mechanics down yourself and to screw around and have no repercussions, or you're not letting anyone down if you die in a solo match. But I think squad or duos is really where this game shines, and really where you can get better at it by
agree with
helping
you.
each other.
The one point I would bring up, like as not exactly a counter, but as a complementary point to that, is if you're just starting out of the game, don't squad up. Like play
Yes.
solos, do it as much as you can. Just like hop in, get kills, whatever, die, so that you're not waiting for like 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes after you die for the game to restart and you to get back into it, because that'll just get more and more frustrating.
The downside to that is that when you play those solos, there's nobody there to like pick you back up when you're pissed off about not doing well, and you have that 2.5 minutes to really wait to get back into a match. Because that I got to be honest, that deterred me a few times, and I didn't like to play anything but duos or squads because solos suck when you're not doing well. And like, what's to keep me from going? You know what? It's too long to wait to go into another match. I'm going to take a break and then not come back to it.
Yeah, that's really true, actually. So I don't know what the best option is then. I would say that if you're trying to learn, then being able to play more is best. But if it's going to actually deter you from playing, if you're not playing with somebody, then try and get as many basics as you can, and then jump to a squad. If you're hoping to a training server.
Yeah,
oh
really.
my God. One day.
I mean, they have bots in mobile.
I know.
Why not put bots in a training server?
Yep.
The bots do suck. There was somebody that walked up behind I did one squad with some randos, and there was a bot that came up, pointed the gun at the person's head, and did not move. Just came up and stood there, and I walked up and I circled around him, and then I just popped him in the face and like walked away.
I think I could tell they were bots when all they had was shotguns, and that's pretty much it on them.
It made sense that they were bots because I never got close enough to people. I had an 8x scope on a lot of my stuff. They wouldn't stop running when I shot them, and I thought that was weird.
Right.
They just kept going.
I didn't make the connection until I read about it online, and I was like, "Oh, damn!"
Yeah.
There goes that
damn,
confidence.
I
thought
won
it was
my
so
first
good.
one.
Yep.
But now I'm not playing bots, and it's still very fun. But it's also because people suck. So
Yeah. Touch
they're
controls
not
are not
great.
easy.
you can tell when you get into a match, like whoever, as the daily loot gets awarded to people, people are more dressed because you start the game just in your underwear and you can't just get crates. And so like when you drop into a map and you see somebody who has pants, shoes, and a shirt, you go, damn it, they're good.
Oh man. So yeah,
Cool.
I think that was a really, really great segment. I don't know. I like having a third point of view here. It really brings a whole nother dynamic to the show, I think.
For sure.
Mm.
John,
I
makes
like
a good point.
Yeah, I like being able to kind of discuss this thing, and hearing y'all talk about it really gets my thoughts in order and like allows me to make these good points. Is like y'all have these points of views, and I can kind of go through them and kind of pick out what I specifically like from them.
Right.
Yeah, I dig it. It's cool.
Sure.
And it gives us a little bit of a structure to the show.
Absolutely. Cool.
Well,
thanks.
Thanks for having me.
And there you have it. John makes a point. John makes a good point.
John makes a great point.
Or the acronym would be JMAGP.
JMAGP.
Cool.
So
Awesome.
that is our super elongated show for the day, everybody. I think
Yeah.
we went for about over an hour.
This is a marathon. This is our first show that didn't somehow magically align at the 45-minute end mark. We've
Yeah.
never planned to end our shows at 45 minutes, but it just always happens that way. But so this one went a little bit longer, but I thought it was a good one.
Yeah, I really think that having John jump in and do this is a good thing that we'd like to do from time to time. He says he's going to run out of points if we try to do it every week, but we'll see.
Oh, John
We
has
really-
good points. I don't think I'll run out.
We really appreciate everybody for hanging out. Please hang out in our Discord. We're actually going to link the infection guys to this week. Check those guys out; they're pretty awesome. Hang out in our Discord. Like us on all the things we're on: iTunes and Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, Stitch In,
Tuner, Stitch in,
all of them.
Tune in, and Stitcher. Yeah.
We will be back next week at the normal time. Thursdays. Dan has to do some sort of Eagle Scout ceremony this week, which should be fun.
I'm not an Eagle Scout. I'm well beyond those years.
But hang out. We're about to do our live stream for the next few hours here. So until then, guys.
Follow us on Twitter. And also join our Discord.
We'll see you in game.
We'll see you in game. All right.